I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
That's Booby.
And Julpy and Ghosty.
Shout out to all of our alliance leaders. We had a pretty good discussion tonight. Huh?
We did. Oh, also, shout out to the big homie Matt. This is him rocking my Sori secret shirt and
all right.
Vin's Middle America shirt.
Hey! Hey, Matt, that looks really nice on you, buddy. It brings out your eyes.
Yeah, but mine is better, I think. Look at this pose. You got the necklace, the background.
That's a beautiful... Where is this brother from?
I don't know. It looked like he hiked to the top of something for yours.
That guy seems like a very well-balanced individual. He just seems like he's got life figured out.
Yeah, he seems nice.
Call me, Matt. Help me, sir. Help me. Help us. Shout out to the big homie Matt, man. I appreciate it. You know, it's kind of silly, but you know, like I like when people wear my shirts from time to time.
I totally know how you feel. I mean, obviously, I feel that.
Well, it's just, I know your shirt is a badass shirt, but I feel like the Middle America shirt is pretty cool, man. I really do. I really believe in that shirt. I really do. Anyway, shout out to the big homie. If you would like one, dear listener, if you would like to be featured on our channel, all you have to do is get one of these nifty shirts, and the link's below on the thingamajiggy.
In the description. In
the description. And Sori doesn't burn down our lives, and that'd be great. So,
okay, so guess what, guys? We have right now, it's set at $75. It's a tier on Patreon, or you can go through PayPal. All those links are in the description also, and you can actually, like, request a song and get it bumped to the top of the list, or very close to the top of the list. So, shout out to Gabe, who, he picked Acid Bath. How do you say this, babe?
Toubabo Koomi. Toubabo?
Toubabo?
Toubabo Koomi.
It sounds like, you sound like you're doing baby talk.
Okay, thank you for that. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for insulting me, you racist.
How is that a racist comment, you weirdo? Hey, do you have headphones, or?
No, I think...
Or are you just...
Oh, no, yeah, we do.
Just winging it.
Okay. Speaking of Middle America, for timely topical political commentary, you can hit us up at Middle America with Vin and Sori. We just published a video yesterday. I might be able to talk Sori into publishing a video tonight. We'll see. Okay.
After I have some rum.
That's not going to be a good night. Oh, it depends. Okay, Acid Bath, let's go.
Okay, go. I'm pretty sure he said it was either him or it was somebody else that said they don't play the end of the song. You have to do like a certain thing to be able to get. You have to like I don't know. I want to say he said something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the official video here and it goes to 4:34, so
Yeah.
that's interesting. The lines defined begin to gray and fade now. We shoot out the lights and swallow razor blades. I feel nothing for the meat that came before. Liberty, she crawled to me playing the whore. That's the last stanza. Okay. Toubabo Koomi means land of the cannibals, I guess. Land of the white cannibals. So there you are. I'm looking. Some of the song titles for this record are on.
Oh, number 5. I want to see. I want to hear.
Finger Paintings of the Insane, Jezebel, Scream of the Butterfly, Dr. Seuss is Dead, Dope Fiend, Toubabo Koomi, God Machine, Mortician's Flame, What Color is Death,
Yeah,
Bones
that's
of
a good
Baby Dolls, Cass Eats Cockroaches. Like, those are very intriguing titles.
Mm-hmm.
I had in AP English, I had a teacher that was obsessed with titles.
Yeah.
She used to say, Vincent, the title makes the work. She said, the title makes the work. The title makes the work. I thought she was like, exaggerating a little bit, but there were times when I would write something and like the title would be so badass that I'd be like, oh, I gotta come with it. This is a badass title. I can't come with some like
something weak with a really strong name.
Yeah. So, but I don't know. But I never thought that way until after her class. But I didn't get a guitar till after her class, so I don't really know.
Yeah, but I think that that's definitely a thing because, like we've gone to some escape rooms and like the main room is like badass and then you walk in and you're like, really? Like you shouldn't have a badass main room and have trash rooms inside.
Right.
Like you'd be better off to flip that and people don't expect much. That's what happened at one of them. We walked in, we were like, really?
Yeah.
And then we went in, we were like, hey, this is good. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I have a theory on what this song is about, but what do you think the song is about?
I really don't know because when I'm reading this, it's very black and white to me, and I just get those visuals in my head. Like they want to see blood. We need a new whore. We don't give a fuck. We just want more blood. We want blood. And then I'm gonna F the hole in Kennedy's head. That was a really, really disgusting thing to say. I think he's probably trying to communicate something super important through that. I really don't think it's literally that, but like the visual, I just...
Revolt, deface, resist, push the button, legalize freedom. Let's
yeah,
shoot
it
the
seems like they're
president.
saying something political in this. I'm not sure what it is.
Yeah, it seems, you know, like every group has...
Is it basically like get away from like all the people that are trying to like rule and enslave us and...
Well,
find our own
I was
way?
just going to say, because in our village, we've got quite a many anarchists of different stripes, which is, and I don't know if we have many anarchists, but I haven't met. See, here's the thing. I had an idea as to what anarchy was that I don't think is completely accurate. And I'm saying I don't think it's completely accurate based on the anarchists that I've met in the village. Right, so like particularly the Zonias of the world, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
I thought PM Fan was an anarchist. Apparently, he's not. And they're not like, let's destroy everything and burn everything down. Actually, I was having a fight with Zonia yesterday, and she's like, "I'm not gonna go into your nihilistic abyss, you baby." That's how you know you're friends with somebody.
Yes.
You know, and I appreciated the hell out of that conversation.
Yeah.
That was like a turning point.
Yep.
Like when you're like, you know, deeper, like, oh, okay, like I'm genuinely friends with this person. All right, we're good. Because you know how people are with me. So, what?
It's so true. Has anyone had the audacity to stand up to you in such a way before? Very
Well,
few.
you.
Aside from me, very few.
Very, very few. But, you know, everybody, you know, if Carmen would have said that to me, I'm like, hey, wait a second.
Yeah, you hurt my feelings.
Their relationships are just different.
Yep.
Don't say that to me, Carmen. I
Yeah.
need mom.
You'll be sad.
Okay. So my point about bringing Zonia up is that she's probably, including me, the most level-headed person in our community. What I mean by that is, like, my level-headedness is subordinate to her. So probably the most level-headed person, and she's an anarchist. So like, you know, everything I've heard of this is kind of what I've heard about anarchists. You know, like they don't believe in any government. Everything's going to be crazy. It's going to be a bunch of killing. It's going to be the purge. Blah 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 blah. And obviously, after talking, there's actually a fireside where Z and I go about for half an hour and 45 minutes. You know, and she didn't convert me to anarchism because I still think there are massive gaping holes in that ideology. Because I'm not sure that anarchists take into account human nature. You know, a lot of anarchy rests on your assumptions about human beings and what they're capable of on the scale of good and evil.
Yep.
So it just depends. So to me, this seemed like an anarchist anthem, especially, you know, I think now if he released it in 2019, he would have been able to just say "Land of the White Cannibals." You know what I'm saying? Because white males currently in America are not really looked upon as, you know, you can go after them. Or whatever.
Yeah.
But it looked like in '94.
White males and Christians, go after them.
Yeah, Christian white male, straight Christian white male.
It's over.
Cow. Loving. Okay.
Careful, they're also the ones that hold the most guns.
Right, don't fuck with them. Don't fuck with them Christian white male, man. They will blow you into next Tuesday. Believe you me. Okay, but my point is that, you know, a lot of whether or not you think anarchy could work obviously rests on your assumptions about human nature. And I think the closest, I don't think Noam Chomsky is an anarchist, but the closest that I came to any sort of anarchist rhetoric that I could rock with was he said something about authority needs to be consistently challenged because authority needs to consistently justify itself. And I thought
That's actually pretty good.
I said, okay, I could do that. Because to me, it strikes the balance of saying, well, somebody's got to be an authority, or there's got to be a body of people in authority. I mean, we've never experienced humanity outside of that. You know, my buddy BM fan brought up, you know, I forgot the name of it was some South American country, and I said, where are they? He goes, well, they got subsumed. He got subsumed by the Republicans and the capitalists, and I'm like, right. Because, you know, that's human nature. You know, I'm like, I said, my brother, there will always be, you know, bullies who go and do that to people, whatever.
It's interesting because the thought that comes to mind is there's like a verse that talks
Catalonia, that's what it was.
Jesus basically said, like, if you know, not to believe just the message, but like by the actions also. So here he is, he's a person of authority, but he was also saying, like,
authority has to be justified.
Yeah.
Yeah,
here's the justification.
Noam Chomsky's authority is really interesting. Noam Chomsky's kind of like a Bernie Sanders type figure, a guy who has been consistent for decades in his criticism of you know, the United States and capitalism and what we do in the world and global empires and such. And the guy's kind of like he's a legend, and rightly so. When I was listening to him, I was like, there's a lot of stuff I agree with here. But what was really captivating about the discussion that I was watching was during the Q&A section, people were trying to reconcile the concept of, you know, obviously they didn't put it this way, but the sinful nature of people.
Yeah.
And so the necessity for authority, you know, some form of authority. Nobody in a prison is there voluntarily.
Right.
So,
well, some people are, but...
Well, yeah.
There's very few.
Well, institutionalized people are, sure,
yes,
but you know, they don't make up the vast majority of folks who've been in prison.
Right.
None of them are there. So how do you reconcile that? Because they're going to say, yeah, we're going to challenge your authority. Right, do you have to lock us up? And there's nothing that the authority will say that's going to satisfy the prisoner. But then all the people outside are going to be like, you better not let that guy out. That guy is doing, you know, X or Y, Z thing. You let him out, we're going to put the screws to him. So, so they were asking Chomsky about that, and he basically said, look, I don't have everything figured out, but I do know that, you know, we've killed, you know, 2.3 million innocent civilians since 9/11. So both systems have their problems. I would much rather deal with that problem than the problem that we currently have right now. And again, that was such a compelling... I love arguments that acknowledge realism. I love that shit. It's like, be realistic about it, please, and stop being so idealistic. So, and again, I don't know Noam Chomsky's, you know, ideology or whatever, but it seemed to me that he made a concession that we've never seen a human society that did not function with some sort of hierarchy. The issue is the hierarchy autocratic or is it truly democratic? And, you know, I think if you look at, that's the whole point of Animal Farm, right? The book Animal Farm was about these, you know, was a metaphor for the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
You know, all these animals revolted and they kicked out the farmer and all this, and then, you know, there's a poor horse and he's the workhorse, and then, you know, it's, you know, that was part of the big campaign, like, they're sending us all to the glue factory and da-da-da-da, and so they kicked him out and the pig was at the top. And, and there was this loyal workhorse, and then when they were done with him, they turned him. All animals
are equal.
They turned
some are just more equal than others.
Yeah, they turned the horse into glue and all this, and then the piggy guy was at the top, and he was up there chilling and all that, and then everybody was like, "Well, what's going on? I thought we're all supposed to be equal." And then, of course, the famous line of "All animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others." I read that whole book in one night. You know, it was like a chapter. Every 2 or 3 days we were supposed to read for English. I devoured that thing in one night.
How long does it take? Do you think we should do like a book-a-thon with the kids? Read through that?
We definitely should do Animal Farm with the kids for homeschool, because it's amazing.
Well, it would be fun to do it as like, this is school for the day. We're gonna read the book, order some pizza for lunch, keep reading.
Right, and then
lay on the beds, read.
It's literature, spelling, vocabulary, words, context.
Yeah, because they're going to have to do a report on
history, all that. Yeah, that's a good point. We should just devote an entire week to Animal Farm. Get done with it. We could teach history, all that. Okay, back to...
oh my God, completely sucked in on that one. Okay.
But the book was brilliant for the obvious reason of, you know, it sounds great idealistically until it interfaces with human nature. Of course, the animals were there to represent, you know, whatever. when all these ideologies interface with human nature, that's where the breakdown happens. You know, and so, you know, when you look at America, it's like, oh, we're gonna have a Democratic Republican. We're gonna have, you know, we're gonna have representative of government, but those representatives are gonna do the will of the people, and if not, then we got guns. And you know that was the idea. What was it? The tree of liberty should always be watered with the blood of tyrants every now and then. I think Jefferson said.
I feel like I've never heard that.
Yeah, that was the idea. It was like, you know, like when these people, these Second Amendment people, they talk about it, like they're right. Like that was the original intention. Like you need the citizenry was always supposed to be more armed than the government because of the sheer numbers.
Right.
You know, and nobody was thinking about these, you know, ICBMs and all the rest of it. And people are like, well, no, they had those cannons, and that was. It's like, come on, man. Like anybody who spent like 4 hours in basic knows that if one guy has that thing, and then you've got about 20 people that can, you know, come on. We all know how to solve that problem.
Right. Yeah.
So that was the idea. So like all these ideologies keep coming up, and you know, if you look at Alexander the Great and read, you know, biographies about Alexander and go into his mind, he really believed that he was doing good for the world because, you know, they felt their culture was the pinnacle of culture. They were at the cutting edge, and they were right. And to this day, you know, the trade routes that Alexander created, when the Roman Empire took over, Christians actually were able. Thank you very much, Alexander, because it created all these all these highways for the gospel to explode. But at the same time, it was done at the cost of hundreds of thousands of lives. And then the Romans were the same way, Pax Romana, and hey, we had Roman peace. And for a while, if you read Josephus, Tacitus, Pliny the Younger, etc., there were real spans of time when there was Roman peace where people were just like, hey man, you know, hey, give the guys the taxes, burn a little incense, Caesar, Kaiser Kira, but you've got literally thousands and thousands of crucified innocent people. And so like history just keeps evolving, and we keep saying like, oh, okay, this is a problem, and autocratic government, that's a problem, so let's create a democratic republic. Oh, that's a problem.
Right.
Damn capitalists.
No, it's the people that are the problem.
The capitalists are the problem. Let's create a communist utopia. Shit, we just killed 100 million people. Let's create a socialist utopia. Shit. Oh, it's these Jews, they're the problem. And then you got Farrakhan. I love you, buddy, but you're wrong. Oh, it's the white man, he's the problem. You know, it's like we keep like dancing around the issue because nobody wants to admit it.
Right.
It's you. You're the problem. And it's her. Okay?
And him.
I was waiting for that. We're the problem, and it doesn't matter what economic or socio-political system you erect. People are going to die in droves. And there's going to be a class of people who are rich and a class of people who get exploited, because that's human nature. And until we figure it out, this is going to continue to happen. So what's happening here to me is that the leaders, you know, Kennedy, he's saying this really blasphemous thing about Kennedy, and in the 90s, Kennedy had just been assassinated 30 years prior, basically, right? So like. The distance between Kennedy and this song is about literally the same distance between this song and now.
That's weird.
It's kind of mind-blowing, right? Yeah. So, just as recently as 94 is to us, would be as recently as Kennedy was. And it's kind of this generation, the whole saga of Kennedy is not as important anymore because we have 9/11.
Yeah.
But prior to that, like
that was the Kennedy
thing
was like...
I
remember... my grandmother talking about it a lot.
Yeah, this was like the ultimate in blasphemy, I'm assuming, in the 90s. So, you know, revolt, deface, resist, push the button, legalize freedom, because I think the point that I was going to say was every group has their violent fundamentalist faction, and I think this song is giving voice to the violent fundamentalist faction of anarchism that is not like the anarchism that I hear from Zonia. Or BM Fan or Noam Chomsky or any of these guys. Like, we're hearing the violent strain of, and you know, there's some people that are just predisposed to violence and they're going to be violent, period.
Right.
And you can't blame anarchism for that.
Right.
Like,
they just jump on the cause because they want to be violent.
Seduct. let's shoot the queen, rape the president, feel the fires breathe again inside the dead machine. So they, instead of saying we're the problem, it's the people in power that they're the problem. Well, my friend, in a democratic republic, you elect the problem. And the problem is simply a reflection of you and I. I was talking to Zoe about we killed those pine nut farmers today in school. I said, we got blood on our hands. She said, I ain't got no damn blood on my hands, my guy.
Yeah. I heard that going on.
You know, Johan would be like, oh yeah, it's terrible, we need to pray. Zoe would be like, I didn't do that shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's like, what are you talking about, Dad? I didn't do that shit.
And then I heard her say, so Orion, he's guilty too? Orion's our 5-month-old.
Yeah. Poor Orion. He's like, huh? What's up? I pooped. By the way, I pooped. I don't know. As I'm trying to explain to her, well, we live in a democratic republic, so one represents the whole, and the Olympics, and da-da-da-da, she wasn't buying it.
No.
She looked at me the way M. Def fan looks at me anytime I bring that up. He's like, nah, that's bullshit.
Yeah, Sayla doesn't buy into it either. That's both of our daughters.
Yeah. They all want to be individualists.
Yeah.
But then they love to carry our last name and blast it around all the time. Oh, you're an individual. You didn't accomplish shit. See how that works?
Yeah.
I love our kids. Homeschool, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep.
We're like the worst commercial for homeschooling. There's some Christian who's like thinking about homeschooling. We need to send our kids to public school.
Yeah, they're like, wait.
Fuck this shit. Yeah. So it's a very nihilistic, vulgar, almost blasphemous way to articulate it, but you know.
It's pretty offensive.
Yeah, you know, and you know, he's using, you know, rape imagery, which I'm not a fan of rape imagery for obvious reasons, but if the world is the way that these people think it is, then that is happening. If you have all these unassuming, well-meaning, good people, good majority who are being controlled by this evil, vast conspiracy and cabal of evil, then it would qualify as that.
Yeah.
What he's missing is the fact that, you know, and I just shot a video in another forum about the benefits of original sin and the beneficial ideas that come from original sin. And one of them is it protects you from these kinds of delusions. The idea that the government is the problem, and that if we could get rid of the government, then we wouldn't have these problems, is completely false. We are the problem, not governments. Now, there are certain governments who degrade society to such a degree that they need to be replaced, i.e. Adolf Hitler, Lenin, Stalin, etc. But even in those contexts, you know, I always say, like, Hitler did not kill 6 million people. It is literally almost impossible to accomplish such a feat by oneself.
Right.
You need the regular people of the populace doing that stuff. And there are other groups of innocent human beings in our culture today that are open season for killing. I don't have to get into it. You know what I'm talking about. So this idea that, it's just, we're just good people, and it's the government that is evil, and they're the ones that are doing everything. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on, bro.
Yeah.
You were next door neighbors to Mr. Higglebaum for 3 years. He delivered your mail every day for 3 years. And Chris Domlock shows up, and you Molotov cocktail his house. You set it on fire, and then you cheer as he's getting shoved into the train on the way to Auschwitz. He's a regular guy.
Right.
And like I always say, we don't have movies like The Purge because we think everybody's good.
Right.
It's not why we have movies like that. So
or anytime you ask somebody if you could do anything you want and not get caught for it.
Sadat. It's always some crime. They never say, I'm going to rob the bank, become a billionaire, and distribute all that wealth and end world hunger in a single day. In a single day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if everybody was basically good, then The Purge wouldn't make any sense. Like, imagine if you had The Purge, right? And it turned out that everybody robbed banks, and then the entire rest of the movie was about them distributing that wealth and ending world hunger in a single day.
How many people would go watch that movie?
Well, on top of the fact that people wouldn't watch it, everybody would say this is unrealistic bullshit. Nobody would do that shit. But I didn't hear. I've never heard anyone say this is unrealistic. all the killing and raping and stuff in the Purge. I've never heard anybody say that wouldn't happen. I've never heard it. Everybody's kind of like, well, yeah, that'd be a nightmare. I remember one fireside ago, I was talking to a good atheist friend of mine, and we were going back and forth about morality, and he's like, we don't need outside influences to keep us moral. I'm like, what are you talking about? Of course we do. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I said, would you like to live for one day in a purge type environment? He said, hell no. I'm like, thank you. We agree. So now I'm not necessarily criticizing the song itself, because the song, first of all, I love what he did with the words. Now, I don't like the words, but I love the way that the rhyme scheme, because you don't see this kind of tight rhyme scheme a lot in metal. He did a really good job lyrically, and the way that he structured I don't think people realize how difficult it is to write a good song. And he did a really good job, and he said a lot. A lot of times I listen to a song, I'm like, damn, it should have been longer. He said a lot in just the right amount of time. I thought he did a really good job. And I did a line. The lines that define begin to gray and fade now. So it's like drugs, did a line, but then now, like, the distinctions that autocratic governments create on people, the lines that define, begin to gray and fade. So, like, the more he goes into this ideology, the more he sees the vacuity of the other. And here's the thing about it. I think that everything, socialism, communism, capitalism, Stalinism, Leninism, Nazism, Black Israelitism, I think all of them have elements of truth in them that are addressing a specific problem. But to me, I think because those are not buttressed by the understanding that all of us are the problem, it then creates an enemy. That then creates a false utopia. If we got rid of this enemy, if we got rid of white people, we would have a utopia. Now, I love you, brother minister, but who the hell was selling us to white people? Who's other Africans? It's a fact. And Arabs had more slaves than the white people did. So this idea that the white man is like particularly evil is ridiculous, and that they teach that the black man is like particularly good, like by nature we are good. Well, if we're so good by nature, Mr. Farrakhan, brother minister, why did our brothers sell us into slavery? Does that make sense to you? And if the white man is inherently evil, why did 300,000 to 400,000 of them take bullets to the head in order to free slaves? Now, I know not everybody did. But there are tons of material in journals of Northern soldiers who were saying this is wrong, and if I have to die to right this wrong, then so be it. God is going to punish us for it. So it's just too simplistic. When you bad guy a group of people, whether it's the government, whether it's race, whether it's class, whether it's economic strata. Right now it's very, I saw a clip from Elizabeth Warren, I could not believe it. She said, do you want to know the source of your problems? All of your problems? And then she proceeded to talk about rich people and billionaires. Billionaires are not they're not the source of all of our problems, Miss Warren. Now, you can say Jeff Bezos is very shady, and to some degree he's absolutely shady, but Mr. Bezos has employed millions of people, and all these people that are mad at Jeff Bezos all have an Amazon Prime account. So, look, I think the idea of demonizing everyone, I think that this is like one of the strongest benefits of believing that everybody is a sinner. And if you're triggered by the term sinner, mistake maker, I don't care what you, imperfect, flawed, can't live up to our own moral codes, I don't care what you call it. If you have that idea, then if you understand, all solutions are based to address a certain problem, and if you diagnose a problem incorrectly, then the solution is going to be incorrect,
right,
and many times fatal,
right,
which is essentially the story of world history. And until we can look inward and see that we are the problem, and whatever part of the problem you are, until you can look at yourself and change the parts of you that are problematic, and then see yourself as an individual that's part of a whole, we're never going to get anywhere. We're going to continue to cycle to create new ideologies, and then all those ideologies are going to create new enemies. As docile as a guy like Bernie Sanders is, he has enemied rich people in this country.
Yep.
So now we got people in our generation who genuinely hate rich people, not realizing that that compared to other countries in the world, they're rich.
Yeah.
So if you want to eat the rich, bite your hand.
Yep.
So I love the song because I don't like what he's saying, and I don't like the way that he communicates it, but you're not supposed to like these types of things. They're not writing it so, I bet they're going to like this. Right. And I also don't think that he's trying to be edgy either. I don't think he's like, I'm going to write something crazy and blasphemous to be edgy. I think he's saying, some people, our fans are going to see the point.
I think what you're saying is correct. I think that part of the tactic for writing like that was because that's probably, how he sees it, for one, and for two, also because it is attention grabbing, like, what?
Yeah.
And really think about those lyrics.
He, when he calls, like, liberty is, she crawls to me, I'm thinking about the Statue of Liberty, right?
Me too,
Lady
yeah.
Liberty. And so you're talking about shooting the president, raping the queen, Lady Liberty's crawling, she's a whore, blah, blah, blah. It's like, he feels like if anytime you have a sort of autocratic government or any type of government, we're not actually free. I don't believe that, but I just think that this is a if you can see past the language and and just even the rhetoric and there were some times when the song got a little bit melodic, not like ooh, but there was some melody in there as well, which I was not expecting that from this.
Yeah, I probably could have sunk into some of it, but the lyrics I was like
extremely jarring for sure. What do you give the song?
8.4.
8.4. This is the first 10 I've given out in quite some time.
Whoa.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
So.
Right.
The 10. This is definitely a 10. I think this is a really good song, and again, very risky to put out in 1994. I think.
Yep. 1994.
Especially if these guys are an American band. Forget it.
We went to get ice cream tonight. That gelato stuff.
Yep.
That girl had your birthday, but she was born in 1994.
94. Sadat. April 29th. What's up? What's up? Okay. Much love to the big homie Gabe.
Yep.
Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.